Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate in a two-part interview with the Agriculture Minister and the President of BCCI. Tomorrow I shall talk to him about the agricultural situation facing the country and the possibility of a food crisis. But today, how does he respond to Balasaheb Thackeray saying he's prime ministerial material and criticism of the way he handled the Harbhajan Singh controversy? Mr. Pawar, let's start with the Harbhajan Singh controversy. There's increasing criticism that the BCCI and perhaps you personally as President have not handled the issue as effectively as you should have. On reflection, do you think you could have handled it better?
No, in fact, the whole country is saying that we handle better. We protect the interests of the country, we protect the prestige of the players, and main thing was that we can accept anything, but it is very difficult to digest that Indian player if anybody called him as a racist. The country which always fought against racism, Mahatma Gandhi, father of the nation, started his movement in South Africa against racism, and from there inspiration was taken by rest of the in India also. Okay. So this is not just acceptable.
Let's examine the criticism to begin with. Was it fitting that you as President of BCCI should have said that if the verdict in the appeal that you yourself lodged didn't go in your favor, you would call the team back from Australia?
I not said exactly like that, but I did say it will be difficult for our players to play with a charge or the racist.
Can I interrupt? This is what you said. The Indian Express quoted you on the 29th of January. The Indian board has taken a decision that if the charges are not dropped, then the team would come back to India. And Lalit Modi said the same thing as well.
No, Lalit might have said, but the BCCI board has never decided that. BCCI board has authorized me to take appropriate action. That's why I don't know what exactly appeared in the media or particular
So the media was wrong, was it?
No, I don't. So I did say it is difficult for us to digest a charge of racist and play on the ground.
Many people concluded that when the board took this decision, what you were doing was to throw your financial weight around. Some people even felt that the Indian Cricket Board was attempting to blackmail the ICC and Cricket Australia.
Where is the question come of blackmailing? We are not blackmailing anybody. How will we be able to blackmail to anybody? Where is the question of the finances? I can't understand why this again and again issue of the finances has been raised. It's very funny in our country. When the entire episode started, controversy started, the media was attacking BCCI like left and right, they are not taking stand. And when the entire issue has been resolved amicably, and we got a real good decision from judge, so immediately media, certain sections in the media started this BCCI has bulldozed this and that.
You're absolutely right. Let me quote you the Business Standard. This is no way in which India's cricketing establishment should be conducting itself. And even Justice Hanson, in the judgment which went in your favor, commented that the decision that you would withdraw your team if the judgment had gone against you was a great disservice to the game.
But who said that the decision is taken? I don't know on what basis gentleman is making that type of statement. We have never took decisions like this. There was no specific decision that we had to do this.
So the press has misrepresented you.
The board did authorize me to take appropriate decisions.
But there was no threat of withdrawing the team if the verdict went against you?
No, there was no decision to withdraw the team, but definitely there was an uneasiness in the players. If suppose the situation comes to play with a charge of racism, that uneasiness was there. I don't deny.
You're suggesting that there was no formal decision to withdraw the team, but you held it out as a possible threat.
No, it was not threat. Neither we had taken any decision, but simultaneously we cannot just bypass the feeling of the players.
Okay, well, a second criticism arose out of your announcement that any new evidence against Harbhajan Singh would not be acceptable to you. If Jagdish Titler can be retried on the basis of evidence that's come 23 years later, why should new evidence in the case of Harbhajan not be admissible?
See, there is a vast difference between Jagdish Titler case and here. Here, you see, in normal, all legal system, the evidence, collection of evidence and testing the evidence is always done at a lower court. When the issue goes higher court, upper court, appealing court, then the entire material proceeding goes to appeal court, and then judge has to assess and take a proper thing. If suppose in Supreme Court, if Supreme Court starts collecting evidences on the cases which happen somewhere in the state, that is not correct, that is not accepted.
Except for the fact that if you actually had new evidence which proved that Harbhajan Singh was guilty of what he was accused of, then to deny its admissibility will only be to exonerate Harbhajan Singh technically, morally and comprehensively. People would say he's guilty.
No, that was not. We are absolutely confident that he has not uttered this type of word. That's why when we consulted the players like Sachin Tendulkar, and he himself was on the crease, and when I have been told that this is not at all correct, iota truth, and this particular word was never used, yes, there was some gali galoch, some heated discussion which was not proper, which we don't like also. We communicated players also, enough is enough, we should not get this type of complaint. But that whatever the word which come in the definition of the racism was not uttered, that was the information which was given to us.
A third area of criticism was your comment made on the evening of Monday the 28th to the press when you said an Indian cannot be racist. Now you know Indians can be racist. Why did you say that?
No, because it's very difficult for me to accept that what you say, that the Indians are racist. No.
Mr. Pawar, not only are Indians capable of being racist, but Africans often say that Indians are amongst the most racist people in the world.
No, I don't know. I don't treat my own people like this, and I'm not ready to accept that charge to people of this country.
You don't believe Indians are ever racist?
No, I don't think the Indians are brought up with that type of thinking and that type of liking. No.
All right. Harbhajan Singh has accepted that he used an unacceptable Punjabi swear word. Why didn't he admit to this in the beginning and not let the situation build up?
No, he admitted beginning. He admitted beginning. Yes, I have said this. He said that, he admitted that. And that was a part of that evidence. If in the first judgment, if you...
But then why didn't the BCCI at the very outset, 4 weeks ago, say, look, you misunderstood. He never said monkey, he used a Punjabi phrase, marki, they sound the same, but in fact they're not. If that had been clarified, the problem wouldn't have been tough.
Why to, you see, when the matter is sub judice, why to make public statement when the matter is sub judice?
But you could have nipped the problem in the bud. Instead, it became a huge controversy.
So the controversy is not from our side. Controversy has been started from other side. The four players come together and make allegation that such and such thing happened. Not a single umpire has heard. There were 3 people on the ground. Nobody has heard. Other side, no, not a single player has heard. You see, there were 24 cameras, television cameras, and there's not a single camera is saying that this type of word has been written. Where the question comes?
So was there then an attempt by the Australians to trap Harbhajan Singh and deliberately misinterpret it?
I don't know. I don't want to challenge anybody's motive. Now the issue is closed. Our equation with Australian board is extremely good. I don't want to continue that controversy again.
One last question. Is it fitting that Indian players, who in a sense are ambassadors for the country, should use such language?
No, certainly we have been communicated to each and every player that you are going to represent, you are representing this country, your role is like an ambassador. Of course, we accept that you have not used the racist word, but even some sort of gali galoch and this type of improper words, that doesn't suit and doesn't show nice to any Indian player, and they should stop this. Board will take a very serious view if these type of things happen against anybody.
The board will take a very serious view if this happens again?
Yeah, that has been communicated.
Now, Harbhajan Singh in fact has violated the code of conduct 5 times. Do you think you have a problem? Does he have a problem?
No, that is not the issue. You see, these type of small things happen in the ground many times. It's not only Harbhajan, for the other players also they were fine. And it's not only Indian team, that has happened in Pakistan, that was happened in England, that was happened in South Africa, that happened in Australia also. Sometimes it does happen, but at least generally Indian players should try to avoid. Now take the case of a player like Rahul Dravid. Take the case of player like Anil Kumble. Take the case of a player like Sachin Tendulkar, that we never heard any adverse about these type of players, and whole world.
So you're saying let Sachin, Anil Kumble, Rahul Dravid be your role masters?
Exactly. They should be the role model, and other players should follow them about how they behave.
Mr. Pawar, let's take a break at that point. I want to come back and talk to you about Indian politics. That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an interview with Sharad Pawar, now speaking as one of India's foremost politicians. Mr. Pawar, recently, Balasaheb Thackeray, the Shiv Sena chief, said that you were prime ministerial material. Do you welcome that comment, or are you a bit embarrassed by it?
Definitely I am embarrassed, because Balasaheb and myself, we are the friend for the last 40-45 years. We have very good, one can say that, hate and good relations. I think I have not seen anybody who has maximum attack, personal attack to me and criticized me than Balasaheb Thackeray. Probably similar action also from my side against him. But he is a very interesting person. Sometimes whatever he feels correct, he said that. But I am fully aware that anybody can say that he is the Prime Minister material, or he is the person who can lead the country tomorrow. I know these are the comments, are irrational comments. I haven't got any strength, I haven't got any support, I haven't got that type of number in the parliament, and that's why one should not unnecessarily expect that type of position. And that's why I just hear and leave there only.
You may not have the strength and the numbers in parliament today, but many people who know you believe you would be a very good prime minister. Let me ask you bluntly, would you like to be prime minister?
No, you see, it's not a question of like or not. You see, it is not just possible. It is not just possible. It's a small party with both houses together, 14 members of parliament. So one should not live in fool's paradise.
If Deva Gowda could become Prime Minister of India when no one even thought it was imaginable, Sharad Pawar is within the realms of possibility.
No, no, you see, if you don't enjoy that type of support in the parliament, no person can be effective Prime Minister. Ultimately, the person who will be the effective Prime Minister, who can deliver the goods, and where the people of this country will respect, provided he enjoys substantial support.
Side by side with this development, it's also reported in the papers that the Maharashtra government has decided that the Sri Krishna Commission cases against the Shiv Sena and against Bal Thackeray in particular will not be pursued. Do you agree with that decision?
No, I don't know. I have not gone in detail. I read the news yesterday in some local newspaper. I'm going tomorrow, and definitely I will ask my colleagues there what exactly their decision. I saw the statement in one of the vernacular newspaper that the Home Minister has said that if we get sufficient evidence, definitely we will continue with these cases. But without evidence, we don't want to get a slap from the court.
Let's talk about the UPA. Are you satisfied with the way the UPA government is functioning?
Yeah, by and large, you see, in such situations, in the coalition government, I have seen the way Dr. Manmohan Singh is trying his level best to run this country and administration. I think he's doing very well, and he's trying his level best.
You're being very loyal when you say he's doing very well. You say he's trying his level best. Critics say his level best is not good enough.
No, I don't think. I am not ready to accept that. One has to see what is the result. One has to see what is the overall performance of the economy. One has to see what generally the global community talk about India. One has to see how the various countries outside India are, whether they are respecting this country or not. And in all fields, our observation is definitely there are plus points.
You mentioned the economy. Let's take up the economy. Many people thought that the UPA, because it's headed by Manmohan Singh, because Chidambaram is finance minister, would push through a lot of badly needed economic reforms. They're disappointed that on the economic reform front, not enough has happened. Do you share that disappointment?
No, you see, one has to see what is the ground level situation. Firstly, one thing we have to accept, that the growth rate has crossed 8.5%. It has reached to 9%. That itself is achievement. And in every sector there is a, by and large, good performance. Now, about these economic reforms, one should not forget this government is not a government of one party or two parties which are totally ideologically pro-reforms. It has to take support of others. And there are some of the left party and our friends, they have some different thinking. Unless and until their support comes to this government, we are not in position to deliver goods. And if we are not in position to deliver goods, because we have got that number, I don't think one should blame Manmohan Singh or Chidambaram.
If you're not in a position to deliver goods, tell me, what are the goods? What are the economic reforms you would like to have seen which have not been possible?
No, many things. You see, the many things about this pension fund, how to use these resources in different way. Then
Labour law reform also?
partly, yes, not fully. We have to protect the
Disinvestment? Would you like to have seen some disinvestment?
Certainly in disinvestment also. Ultimately, if it is possible to raise the resources and invest that resources in the basic infrastructure, which is the need of the hour, and there some decisions about this resource is also required. But it is true that we could not convince some of our colleagues, and because this government is running with their support, so we cannot take extreme stance.
Was this a failure, not being able to convince your colleagues, not being able to convince the left in particular?
No, it's not question of failure, it's a question of, you see, they are honest to their own thinking. I may not subscribe that thinking. I am honest to my thinking, they are honest to their thinking, and they got a number. I am not in position to manage without bypassing their number, and that's why ultimately I had to take a rational approach and I had to listen up to such.
Without the economic reforms that you have very candidly said you would like to have seen, can the 9% growth rate be maintained for very long? Won't the momentum begin to slow down because reforms haven't happened?
No, I don't think so. That if you see last 5 years, 4 years program and performance, every year we are going. I saw in today's newspaper only, Finance Minister statement, we have crossed 9% this year.
My last question. What should the government do if you end up with a satisfactory outcome from the IAEA, but the left won't let you take the nuclear deal further? What should the government then do?
You see, I'll be happy, you see, if there is an alternative source for generation of energy, which is the need of the hour in this country, and which is environment free, one should follow that. But again, same question as is there. If we are not in position to convince our all other colleagues, and if we are not getting the total support in the parliament, majority support in the parliament, then we have to take a rational approach.
And what is the rational approach?
A rational approach, we should try our level best to convince, but we should not trust on anybody if we are not in position to manage without their support.
So secure the government first, the deal comes second.
No, country requires the stability also. You have to choose. The country requires stability. Country wants the development. If we'll be able to get this power, nuclear power, with this particular type of agreement, that will add the strength of this country.
But not at the cost of stability.
But not at the cost of stability and not at the cost of country's economy.
Mr. Pawar, let's end this particular interview there. Tomorrow I want to talk to you about the agricultural situation facing the country and the possible threat of a food crisis. That's tomorrow night on CNBC TV 18 at 10:30 p.m. But for tonight, goodbye, good night.